What's going on, Paisanos? V here, and I got first place at the side deck remote duel regionals with Ritual Beast. That is really good. I'm gonna show you guys my main side extra, and afterwards I'll go over why I made my decisions, the matches, shoutouts, all that jazz. So it's a 41 card main deck. We're gonna start off with the monsters. We have 3 Spiritual Beast Tamer Lara, 3 Rampangu, 3 Candlehawk, and 3 Elder. For the one-off monsters, 1 Protoss, 1 Flag, 1 Corridor, 1 Ritual Beast Tamer Lara, 1 Ritual Beast Tamer Wen, Spiritual Beast Tamer Winda, Spiritual Beast Apelio, and then we have 3 Shifters. So that's the other monsters. For spells, we have 1 Pot of Prosperity, 3 Ritual Beast Inheritance, 3 Emergency Teleport, 3 Triple Tactics Talent, 3 Dark Rule No More, and 3 Book of Eclipse for the spells. And for the traps, real simple, 3 Evenly Match. Nice and simple. Alright, for the side deck, we're going to have 3 Molcharming Fualos, 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. We're going to have 3 D Barrier. And then for the spells, we're also going to have double D Fissure, double Lightning Storm, Harvest Feather Duster, and Cobalt of the Grave. For the extra deck, we got Salamangreat Amirage, Ritual Beast Ulti Radiari, double Ulti Kamafalcos, Cross Sheep, SP Little Knight, Gaga Cowboy, Infernal Flame Banshee, Ulti Guy Apelio, Thunderdrive Colossus, Ulti Apelio, double Nuchi Draco, and double Candlehawk. Alright, so we'll start with the extra deck, and then we'll work our way to the side deck and talk about the main deck and why I made my choices and how everything go. Before I say that, I also want to say I played a bunch of Tenpai. I played a Fire King Snake Eye deck. I played 2 Fiends with variants. It was Fiends with Azamina and friends. And for the most part, I 2-0'd a majority of my games. Some games did go to game 3. But for the most part, I 2-0'd. With this deck, I still wanted to always go first as well. Really important thing to note. And when I get to the main deck, I'll probably talk more about that. With that said, looking over at the extra deck, I think this is for the most part staples. This is all staples. Cowboy. So a lot of people like to put in like another card. I rather just have Cowboy already at the ready. To be honest with you, if games do go into time, Cowboy's gonna win that game. Might as well just have it at the ready. If not, it's 14 card extra deck, which I'm totally fine with. Cowboy didn't come out today. Never really. I think I almost went into time. But Cowboy realistically didn't come up today. To be honest with you, the only time I ever made Cowboy, I made it twice, I believe. One time to help like put it on board attack mode. Another time because I wanted to use it as material because it's to make Protoss. So that's why that's there. Alright. So Cross Sheep is in place of Link Spider. You obviously don't know the body, but there's more lines for this that will actually help you out. I don't know all the lines. The Ritual Beast spreadsheet, and shout out to that community, and I'll probably talk more about that in the shoutouts. But there is lines for Cross Sheep that is really good. I still have to learn them, so I really, for the most part, I had Cross Sheep in here doing nothing. All right. So a lot of people, I'll talk about this card in a second, but a lot of people like to play double Ready Ari and 1 Kamafalcos. These 2 come up a lot where I bring both of them out. And I guess it's Maker's Mark as far as which one you like more. I like making this card, but this card's part of a lot of lines that help you like link climb into this card. So I feel like this card's really good. The versatility of also cycling it to bring out 2 is actually really important. It does come up as well, so really important card. One card I played that no Ritual Beast deck that I've seen so far has ever played is Salamangreat Amirage, which I don't know why, because there are lines with Ulti Radiari, and you'll have Protoss Radiari, and then you're able to bring another body out from the banish. And you can bring out, I mean, there's a ton of bodies, but one I love doing to bring out is Spiritual Beast Tamer Lara. To show normal summon Lara, she's 100 attack. Then you get rid of her for Amirage, and you have a fire target to call with Protoss, and then graveyard protection for your Radiari. So that actually came up a lot of times where my opponent pretty much let everything go through, thinking they was gonna my Protoss was gonna miss, and of course I just made Amirage. Protoss call Amirage, and it didn't miss. It actually was really relevant. A lot of people didn't see the card coming. It's a really good card. Another interesting thing, obviously, and if you play Ritual Beast, you probably know this already. How many people don't realize the first effect of this card? Your opponent obviously cannot tribute to activate card effects. Against Tenpai, it came up with Genroku. Against Sylvia, against Azamina, it's good against Sylvia. Fiends with Requiem. Like, this card stops a ton of cards. Really good card, actually. And a lot of times my opponent obviously didn't know that this card does that many things. So they allowed a lot of stuff to go through, or they made their board into a lot of awkward ways. And for the most part, Ulti Ready Army just, I had to remind my opponent a couple of times that Ulti Ready Army is not going to let that happen. So, really good card, actually. Did come up a lot. Alright, so we'll talk about the side deck. Obviously, my deck is more of an aggressive going second deck, but I do want to go first. And the reason why I put more cards for going second is because this deck has a harder time going second against a lot of decks. The main reason you see a lot of Ritual Beast players play main deck cards like Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring and Infinite Permanence and so on, Call by the Grave, is mostly because of Hualos. A lot of Ritual Beast players are scared of Hualos. And the way I see it is, Hualos is 3 cards. My opponent's board is accumulation of multiple cards, so I'd rather have my main deck focus on breaking those boards. With that said, once again, I really want to emphasize I still want to go first. With that said, though, so if I was to go second, I did this a lot today actually. I'll get out evenly. If I was to go first, I would get out Evenly Matched and Dark Rule No More, and these are perfect 6-card side out. There's 4 cards for the 3 Fualos, and double Dimension Fissure, which is really good against a lot of decks still in the game, so why not have that? So it worked out really well, actually. The math kind of worked out really well for that swap. Obviously, there's a bunch of other cards like Lightning Storm and Duster, so the reason why I play this other Cosmic Cyclone is 1, because time, but 2, because Cosmic Cyclone is only good against 2 decks, where this combination of cards is good against multiple decks. Cosmic Cyclone is good against any kind of Runic variant, and I feel like this deck is good against Runics as is. And then Cosmic Cyclone is also good against Fire Kings by hitting their field spell, nuking their board. But to be honest with you, if you're going to Dark Rule evenly them, Call Fire with Protos, we don't need Cosmic Cyclone. So rather than do all that, I'd rather have cards like Lightning Storm and Duster. And Lightning Storm, I threw it in there, I didn't see it at all today, but Duster actually came up a lot. There was one game state where our opponent had invoked Mechaba, Azumia Negate, Fiends from Omni Negate, and like 3 set. And I just Dark Rule and Dustered him, and I was able to go full combo. And this deck's really good at doing that. It's really good at just, obviously, besides breaking board, establishing the combo with a very limited amount of cards. So, well, that's one thing really cool. And the D Fissures is good against everything. Once again, I played probably like 3 or 4 Tempai. And they were really, really like versed players. Like, they knew how to play Tempai past turn 1, which in my opinion makes them very good Tempai players. And D-Barrier ideally is good against them. So at one time, didn't really even use it because they were on the Firelock, but in theory, it's a good card. Obviously, if we are going second, I would throw Fualos in. One of the cards I would take out instead of for Fualos would probably be Book of Eclipse. So the way I see it is Book of Eclipse is really good going first and going second, but Fualos is better at going second, and I'd rather have Fualos than Book of Eclipse. There was one game where I Fualos my opponent, and I had Dark Rule in hand, and I drew into Evenly Match, and I had full combo. Like, Fualos is really good. There are other cards you can substitute instead of this, though, so there is that. If you want to play more like Floodgates, you can, but Fualos is good if you can afford it, obviously. It's just really expensive for some ungodly reason. Like, Konami needs to reprint that card already. Alright, moving on to the main deck. Once again, it's 41. If the first thing you know is I don't play the Ritual Beast Steeds, I don't like that card. I think it's a win more card, and you don't need win more cards if your deck is already, like, if you already have established a good board, win more cards are the last thing you need. I also don't like the idea of playing cards that have a potential chance of bricking. Even though I know I'm showing you Evenly Match and saying that, I just don't want to add to that ratio. That's why my deck's have 41 cards rather than 42 cards. Evenly Match, and these are like kind of like my board breaker slash going first helper cards, whatever the hell you want to call it. So we played 15 in a 41 card list, and Shifter was decent. Once again, I played against a lot of Tempai, so it wasn't as good, but Shifter is theoretically really good. Once you know the combos with Shifter with this deck, I feel like you become a much better player. So it's really important to learn those combos. Talents is, in my opinion, a must-have card. I think Talents is a must-have main deck card. Although a lot of times my opponent would Ash Blossom Joy Spring me, and I would just go Talents, and I would see their hand, and I'd be like, oh, you're playing Tempai, or you're playing Tempai, so I could go Protos and lock you in. Or you're playing Fiendsmith, so I'm going to go Colossus and make it harder for you to search cards. Like, there's a lot of cool things that you can do with Talents, not to mention the fact that if they have multiple hand traps, playing Talents obviously gets rid of those multiple hand traps. Now, yes, there's Impulse, there's Infinite Permanence, but this deck's pretty decent at playing around infinite permanents with Book of Eclipse. And Impulse does hurt, but there's certain lines you can use to play around Impulse. It's not foolproof. Obviously, you always need more cards. But it did help a lot. There were a lot of times where I got Impulse, I was still able to continue making my board. So it wasn't that crazy, but you still have to figure out mentally in your mind, think about your opponent having Impulse and how can you play around it as you're building your board. So realistically speaking, like this is kind of going first and going second. It's kind of the same thing, This is mainly your going second cards. And so the way I thought about it is a lot of players are worried about Fualos that play this deck. So they'll play more of a hand trap build. And Imperium and Ash are just crazy weak right now. Even combined against a lot of decks in the meta. A lot of decks can play around those cards. Decks cannot play around Evenly Matched and Dark Rule no more. If we go first, we can establish an insane board, which makes it hard for our opponent to break up board. But going second, holding Ash Imperium doesn't really do anything. And I feel like a lot of Virtual Beast players are so scared of Wallows, they're opting to play more hand traps rather than board breakers, which actually gets results. And I really don't understand that. If we go first, and yeah, I guess the opponent activates Swallows, sure. People didn't activate False Omni today, and I was able to, I was lucky enough to go, Shifter, and I would just set, I'm not, this, I did this with my opponents, I went Shifter, set Window, pass, it's have fun breaking that shit, that's gonna be hard as hell, but hey, man, Godspeed. And we was able to win that game, because of that kind of setup. But with that said, though, I feel like these cards are just really good at just helping break our opponent's board, because once we break our opponent's board and we create our board, it's really hard for our opponent to get on the clapback. A lot of times, I ask my opponent how many cards they have in their hand after doing their full combo, and after obviously breaking the board and doing mines, and they would have only 2 cards, maybe 3, sometimes even 1 card in hand, and that's not enough to come back and break a board of Pros when you're locked when you're locked, or Colossus. Once again, at that point we know what they're playing. When they're locked like that, it's really hard for our opponent to even come back. And if they will start coming back, we have so much interactions. I mean, a lot of times I would just go Colossus SP and Rediari, and that's a really hard board to out. Or I would go Protoss SP Rediari, and once again, how are you gonna play around that shit? It's impossible. It's insanely difficult. And a lot of times our opponent, after breaking the board and establishing our board, for the most part, scoop. They would play a little bit here and there, but for the most part, nobody was ever really to recover back on the clapback and get us back again. So really, really important to note that, and that's why I decided to play this build of Ritual Beast. If you guys have any more comments, questions, anything, comment down below. Once again, we went undefeated all 7 rounds with Ritual Beast, and I'll be honest with you, I think this is a very underrated deck. The more players that have experience with the spreadsheets, the more better they'll become. I want to give a bunch of shout-outs, and I rarely do shouts, but I feel like it's really important. Shout out to the side deck for not only running this event, but running remote duel locals, which helped me become a better player. I always tell everybody to do remote duel locals, and some people might try to pass it off, but it's an excellent place to play test, to learn rulings. I learned a lot of rulings actually playing Ritual Beast at the side deck remote duel locals. And I think it's really important for people to understand that it's available for everybody. It's a resource. It's locals that you can play in as well as become a better player, and it's really true. It helped me out, and probably one of the reasons why I'm undefeated is because of that practice I had at the side deck remote duel locals. So definitely go check them out. They do locals 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think they'll do it on Wednesdays, but every other day of the week. So you have locals constantly, and you have a constant way of testing with a bunch of other players, which is really cool. And of course, you can win prize support, and you get OTS packs for signing up. With that said, I want to give a shout out to the Ritual Beast community. Ed, man, that spreadsheet that Ed and many of those guys built for Ritual Beast is not only free, very cool by the way, but it is probably the best spreadsheet I've ever seen. I've seen a lot of spreadsheets from a lot of other players. I've witnessed some paid spreadsheets, and the Ritual Beast spreadsheet is the best spreadsheet, hands down. It's embarrassing to look at other spreadsheets when you look at the Ritual Beast spreadsheet. It teaches you everything, and I mean everything. These guys put a lot of work into it. Not just Ed, but a lot of guys in that community. But definitely shout out to Ed, because his videos definitely helped me understand more about Ritual Beast. But I mean, Ed, Jojo, who else? Pablo, Julio, who beat me in a regional flight, playing the Ritual Beast mirror match. Great people, and I'm dead serious. This community Ritual Beast community is one of the few communities out there that they want their players to win, and they want to help each other, push each other forward. I still think Ritual Beast is going to be a good deck come the release of Mouse and Ryzeal, because Mouse is dark, Ryzeal is light. So Pro says he ain't doing that shit. I wanted to give a shout out to my wife Angelica, and my 5 kids. My wife took my kids out for the day, so I can go ahead and play the remote duel locals in silence. Pretty cool. I do appreciate that for my beautiful wife, and of course my amazing kids when they came back home. They also bought me food, so pretty dope about them, and they're all excited about the fact that I was doing so well. I'll shout out to my girlfriend Rachel, who I called afterwards, and I really do appreciate all the support she's always given me, always constantly saying, "Of course I knew you'd win," all that stuff. So shout out to my girlfriend Rachel, and shout out to my YouTube community, because you guys are awesome. And I know I've been slacking in videos, but I've been practicing, I've been grinding, and I've been learning, and I've been really trying to become a better player as well as a content creator. And I'm gonna try to have a good balance of both moving forward in the future. And in fact, if you guys want to see more Ritual Beast content, comment down below. Let me know if you want to see that. I have a bunch of other decks I want to play as well, but I love this deck, and this deck's really fun. It's really good. I think I converted 3 players at my locals to play Ritual Beast. One of them just went undefeated. A young kid went undefeated at locals, at my locals with Ritual Beast this past Saturday. So it's cool to see that. It's cool to see younger players do well, and not only do well, but do well with a deck as hard as Ritual Beast. A lot of potential and skill there. And once again, I really want to say thank you to everybody watching my channel. Make sure to like button, subscribe button, comment down below. We're gonna win more regionals, and you let me know what deck we're gonna do with. Comment down below, and I really appreciate you guys. It's your boy V, and you guys also have a great day.